This is a video of Mrs. Wheelock's Chapter 1, 1.1 to 1.3 test review. This test is on solving equations up to variables on both sides. So number 1, s plus 21 equals 6. So you need a pen. Okay, so our goal is to get the variable by itself. So I want to get s by itself. And so to do that, I need to undo the addition, which is subtraction, minus 21. And whatever I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other. And then we get s, because the 21 minus 21 zeroes out. And we get s equals negative. The bigger number's negative, so our answer is going to be negative. And they're opposite signs, so we're going to subtract, minus 15. Number 2, y minus 9.9 equals 6.4. Same thing, I will need to get y by itself. So I'm going to undo the subtraction this time by adding 9.9. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. I'm just adding here, so we get y equals 4 plus 9 is 13. Bring down the decimal, so 16.3. Number 3, negative 9h equals negative 27. We need to get h by itself. Negative 9h means negative 9 times h, so we're going to undo the multiplication by dividing. Remember that zeroes out. So we're going to divide by negative 9, divide by negative 9, and negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1. So this is 1h equals positive 3. When we're multiplying and dividing, same sign will be positive. So it's a positive 3. Number 4 is k divided by negative 9 equals 7. Now again, our goal is to get k by itself. So I need to undo the division. Remember that this means divide, and the opposite of divide is multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. So I get 1k equals, opposite signs when I'm multiplying and dividing are negative, and 7 times 9 is 63. Number 5, 2/3 x equals 8. So we're trying to get x by itself. We have a fractional coefficient this time, so we could divide by the fraction, but to divide fractions, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. So instead of writing divide by negative 2/3, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal 3/2 times by 3/2. And then to do the multiplication with the fraction, I put a 1 underneath the 8. I have x equals, because 6 divided by 6 is 1, so I end up with 1x again. And then I can look at this number and I want to divide diagonally if I can to make my multiplication easier. And so we see that 2 divided by 2 is 1 and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then 4 times 3 gives me 12. So that's my final answer. Number 6 is 20 equals 3 minus h. So this one was commonly missed on the mastery. Again, we're getting h by itself. The sign on the 3 is a plus. It's a positive 3, so I need to subtract 3 from both sides. 2 minus 3. And the negative is still hanging around because that's really a negative 1. So 17 equals negative h. And remember, there's always an imaginary coefficient. When there's no number, it's always an imaginary 1. So really I need to divide by, let me move this up a little bit, a negative 1. So I need to get the h positive, so I'm going to divide by negative 1. And we end up with negative 17 equals positive h. And number 7 is 3m minus 8 equals 4. So we're going to, we want to get the m by itself. We want to move the constant first. We want to get the constant off this side first. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. I'm going to add 8, and that zeroes out. I'm going to add 8 on the other side. We get 3m equals 12. Again, I'm getting m by itself. That's 3 times m, so we're going to divide by 3, and m equals 4. You need to make sure that you are showing your work the way I'm showing my work. When we write divide, we want to use the fraction bar. Number 8, 9 minus 5y equals 12. Okay, so variable we're getting by itself is y. I want to move the constant first. Remember, this has a plus in front. This minus belongs to the 5. Okay, so that's a negative 5. So in order to move the plus 9, I need to subtract 9 from both sides. We get negative 5y equals 3. And then we're going to divide. Again, y needs to get by itself still. That's negative 5 times y, so we're going to divide by negative 5. And we end up with a fractional answer, and that's okay. That doesn't mean we did anything wrong. Y equals negative 3/5. Okay, and you can always plug it back in and see if it works, especially when you get fractions. 9 minus 5 times negative 3/5 equals 12. Well, negative 5 times negative 3/5 is positive 3 plus 3. The negative becomes positive, and the 5s divide out. So you end up with 3, and 9 plus 3 equals 12. So on a test, it's a really good idea to always check to see if you did it right. And the last one on this page is number 9. H over negative 3 plus 2 equals 1. It's really important that when it's a negative number in front of the coefficient or dividing, that you multiply or divide with the negative sign. That I've seen a lot of people leaving that off as well. So we have h divided by negative 3 plus 2. I'm trying to get h by itself. I'm going to start by moving the constant minus 2. And that's h over negative 3 equals negative 1. Now that's h divided by, remember that the fraction bar means divide. The opposite of divide is multiply by negative 3. So don't be scared because you see a fraction. Remember that that is division, and the opposite of divide is multiply. And this equals 1, so I get h, and I need to multiply by negative 3 on the other side, and negative times a negative is a positive, and 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, so number 10 is w plus 3 over 3 equals negative 4. Now this problem is different from the number 9 because W and 3 are being divided by the 3. So in this problem, because the whole numerator, everything is in the numerator, we're going to multiply by positive 3. And we want to get W by itself, but I need to get rid of that denominator for the fraction, so I'm going to multiply by 3 over 1, multiply by 3. And when I multiply by 3 over 1, the 3's divide diagonally. It's being weird. They divide to make 1, so we get W plus 3 equals negative 12. And then I'm still working on getting W by itself, so I need to undo the addition by subtracting 3. When the signs are the same, we're going to add and take the common sign, so it's going to be negative 12 plus 3 is 15. The 3 and the negative 3 zero out, so W equals negative 15. Number 11. 2/3 B minus 1/3 B plus 12 equals 16. So here I have two B's. Together, I have a B here and a B here, and so I need to combine these like terms so that I have one B that I can get by itself. So 2/3 B minus 1/3 B, they have a common denominator, so I just subtract the numerators, is 1/3 B, and then copy the rest of the problem. And then I want to get B by itself, so I need to undo the addition by subtracting 12. And we get, it's already there, 1/3 B equals 4. And when we have a fraction, still getting B by itself, when we have a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal, 3 over 1 times 3 over 1, and B equals 12. Number 12, 3 times the quantity of negative 5y plus 2 equals 21. And when I have a number in front of parentheses, I need to distribute first. So we're going to distribute the 3 times the negative 5y and the 3 times the 2. So we get negative 15y plus 6 equals 21. Now I want to get y by itself again. So I'm going to undo the addition, minus 6. I get negative 15y equals 15. Getting y by itself, negative 15 times y, so I'm going to divide by negative 15. A positive divided by a negative is negative, and 15 divided by 15 is 1, so negative 1. 13, 8 times the quantity of 2 minus 6v plus 19 equals negative 61. So we're going to start by distributing 8 times the 2, that's 16. 8 times negative 6v minus 48v plus 19 equals negative 61. Now, like terms here on this side happen to be the 16 and the 19. So 16 plus 19 is 535, positive negative 48v equals negative 61. And we're going to subtract 35 to get rid of the addition that's going to zero out. Remember, I want to get v by itself now. And minus 35 on this side. And I get negative 48v equals negative 96. And I want to get v by itself still. Negative 48v means multiplication, so I'm going to divide by negative 48. And negative 96, negative and a negative make positive. When I'm dividing a negative by negative, the answer is positive. 96 divided by 48 is 2, so v equals 2. I'm going to move some of this out of the way. So we have room for 14 and 15. So 14, 20 times 7 minus d plus 11d equals 113. Start by distributing. 140 minus 20d plus 11d equals 113. I have like terms here. I have two d's, so negative 20d plus 11d is negative 9d. So 140 minus 90 equals 113. I'm going to subtract my constant because I want to get d by itself. Minus 140. So we have negative 9d equals, we got to do 140 minus 113. You have to put the big number on top and subtract. So that's 10 minus 3 is 7. 3 minus 1 is 2. So equals negative 27 because the 140 is bigger and it's negative. Undo the multiplication by dividing by negative 9. And d equals positive 3. Okay, now we're going to number 15. Move some of this out of the way. Remember, you can always rewind the video if there was something you needed to look at again. All right, we have 3 times b plus 3, so I'm going to do it right here. 3b plus 9. We have 4 negative 4, so that negative is going to distribute with it. Negative 4 times negative 2 becomes plus 8. Negative 4 times b minus 4b equals 19. Then we want to combine our like terms. We have b's and we have constants. So we're going to combine 3b minus 4b is negative b, and 9 plus 8 is 17 equals 19. And that's minus 17. So negative b equals 2. And a lot of people got confused on this part on the quiz. Remember, there's that imaginary 1 in front of the b. So divide by negative 1, and b equals negative 2. Okay, we're looking at 16 through 20. So 16 has a 2w on one side, a 3w on the other. So because the 3w doesn't have a constant, I'm going to move the 2w to the other side. So I have 2w minus 4 equals 3w. I'm going to minus the 2w. Here's my line. Draw that line if you need to make sure you're doing it on both the either side of the equal sign. And then on this side, this is 0. We get negative 4 equals w. And that's our answer. W equals negative 4. Number 17. 5x minus 1 equals 7x plus 5. So I want to move the x's to one side and the numbers to the other. I'm going to choose to subtract 5x. I like to keep my variable positive if possible. Those zero out. Get negative 1 equals 2x plus 5. Keep that line there. We're going to move the 5 because I want to get x by itself. Minus the 5. Negative 6 equals 2x. Again, we're getting x by itself. That's 2 times x, so we're going to divide by 2. And negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3 equals x. Number 18, negative 29 minus 1/5 n equals 3/5 n. So again, I have a one side that only has the variable on it, so I want to move the variable to that side. And to do that, I'm going to add 1/5 n. It zeroes out. And 3/5 plus 1/5, the same denominator, so I just add the numerators. Negative 29 equals 4/5 n. And when I have a fractional coefficient, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Times by 5 over 4. Times by 5 over 4. And this is going to be not a pretty fraction. It's not going to come out as a whole number. 29 times 5, that's 45. So 5 carry the 4, 10 plus 4 is 14. So this is negative 145 over 4. You can't reduce that, so that equals your n. Make some space. And number 19. Negative 8c, 8 times the quantity of c minus 10 equals negative times the quantity of c minus 3. So I'm going to distribute my 8. And I get negative 8c plus 80. I'm going to distribute my negative equals negative c plus 3. And then again, I want to get my c's on one side and my constants on the other, so I like to add the c, so I get negative 7c plus 80 equals 3. I'm going to subtract the 80 because I'm going to get c by itself. So negative 7c equals negative 77. Divided by negative 7. So again, we're getting c by itself, so I want to have this 7 divided by 7 is 1. So c equals positive 11. Move that out of the way, and we'll do number 20. 1/3 times 9. Well, 3, that's really like 9 divided by 3. 1/3 times 9 over 1, that's 9/3, which is 3. So we get 3k. 1/3 times 3. 1/3 times 3 is 3 over 3, which is 1. Now we can always do the cross canceling. So plus 1, and then distribute the negative 2, negative 2k plus 16. And I'm going to add 2k. I'm going to have to move over here for some room. 5k plus 1 equals 16. We're working on getting k by itself. So we're going to subtract the 1, move the constant first. So we get 5k equals 15. Again, getting k by itself, so I need to divide because 5k means multiplication. And k equals 3. So number 21 and 22, the instruction says solve the equation. Determine whether the equation has one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions. The first equation is 4c minus 20 equals negative 20 plus 4c. So we want to get the variables on one side, so let's subtract our 4c. And what happens is our variables drop out. Those zero out, and those zero out. And we get negative 20 equals negative 20, which is true. So that means every value of c is going to work, so it's infinitely many solutions. So number 22, -7 times -3n plus 3 equals -21 plus 21n. So we distribute, we get 21n minus 21 equals -21 plus 21n. Subtract the 21n to get it on one side. We zero out, and we get again a true statement. And so because this is true, it's infinitely many. If we got a false statement, say it said 0 equals 5, this is false, and that means there is no solution. Okay, so a true statement when all the variables drop out means it's infinitely many. A false statement means no solution, and there's one solution if you get a solution. Number 23, the sum of the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So on the test, you're going to be getting points for writing the equation. 2x, this angle, 2x plus 5x plus 2 plus 2 times x minus 1 equals 180. Okay, so we added up all the angles, and the sum of those angles all add to 180. So we have to distribute this 2. So 2x plus 5x plus 2. There's nothing to do with those parentheses because there's not a number in front, but we're going to distribute the 2 plus 2x minus 2 equals 180. Then we have like terms. We have 2x plus 5x plus 2x. That gives us 9x. And then we have 2 minus 2, which is 0. And that equals 180. So now we divide by 9 to get x by itself, and x equals 20. So the measure of, or the value of x is 20. Okay, so the first thing you'll get credit for is writing the equation, and the second one will be for solving it. And then the last set is write and solve the equations. So again, you'll get 1 point for writing the equation correctly, and then another for solving it. So we get 3 times a number, that's 3 times a number, 3n plus 7 is equals 34. And we can subtract 7, and 3n equals 27. And to get n by itself, we're going to divide by 3. So n equals 9. So that's A. B says 8 less than a number. So that means we're going to be subtracting 8 on the end. So less than a number is 18. So n minus 8 equals 18. When it's less than, it's actually opposite order. And then to solve, we're going to add 8. So n equals 26. And C, the sum of half a number and 5. So half a number, 1/2 n. What are we doing? We're adding that, and 5 is 14. And that's 1/2. We're going to subtract 5. N equals 9. And then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, 2 over 1. And n equals 18. So again, on these, you get 1 point for the equation and 1 for your answer.